And the final topic for this week is introduction to market structures. In reality, there are different types of markets. All markets can be separated into four main parts according to the following main characteristics. So we'll try to classify our markets according to the following set of criteria. First, number of firms in the industry. How many companies operate in this particular market? One, or few, 2, 3, 5 maybe, or very many companies. This will be our first criteria. Second criteria, firm's ability to affect the price. Can the firm decide on the price it wants to charge? In this case, the firm is called a price maker. Or is the company only able to sell the products at the going price on the market, so-called price taker? Companies are price takers if they cannot make their own pricing decisions. They are forced to sell their products at the given price, the going price on the market. Second criteria. Next criteria, very important criteria, is extent of barriers to entry or exit. Whether the entry or exit is free to the market or is it blocked. Free entry does not imply that you can set up a business in this particular industry for free without any investments. It simply means that you are free to do so if you wish to. There are no legal restrictions, no other restrictions which you would prevent your entry into this particular market. Some markets are blocked. You cannot set up your own nuclear power station, for example. It would be extremely difficult or impossible. However, you can easily set up your own farm if you wish to do so. So how easy or difficult it is to enter a particular market or exit from it. This is our third criteria. And final criteria is degree of product differentiation. In some markets, products are unique. For example, iPhones are unique. You cannot sell another version of iPhone. It's the only unique product. While some products are homogeneous. For example, you can sell oil and it's the same oil regardless of the brand. There are no brands for oil. Or if you sell cucumbers, they're unlikely to have any brand name attached to them. They're just cucumbers, or carrots. They're just carrots. There might be different varieties of carrots, organic and non-organic, but nevertheless, they are more or less homogeneous. They are more or less the same carrots, both in Tesco, in Asda, in Morrison's. They're the same products. Sometimes products can be differentiated. This is the situation when products are similar, but they do have some brands. For example, different varieties of shampoo or toothpaste or something like this, differentiated products. And based on these four criteria, we can separate markets into four main types: perfect competition, monopolistic competition, oligopoly, and monopoly. You need to be aware of features of each of these markets for your exam. For example, let's have a look what perfect competition is. Perfect competition is a market when there are very many or infinite number of very, very small, tiny companies. Each of these companies generate only small proportion of the total market's output. Its market share is infinitesimally small. Companies in this particular market are price takers. They are unable to affect the price. They will have to go with the going price on the market. For example, you sell cucumbers. If you grow cucumbers, if you're a farmer, you will need to sell these cucumbers at, let's say, 50p per each. And you cannot really raise your price because the product is very similar to products of other companies. And if you try to overcharge your customers, consumers will switch away. In this market, there are no entry barriers. It's free to enter this market. If you want to, you can start growing cucumbers in your back garden, and there are no restrictions. No one will prevent you from doing so. This is perfect competition, the most competitive type of the market. There are three other types which are classified as imperfect competition. The first one would be monopolistic competition. It might sound rather strange. It's like hot ice. This is the situation when there are still very many companies on the market. However, the products are somewhat differentiated. So companies are able to attract some loyal customers to their products. An example would be a shampoo. Some people prefer to use a particular brand of shampoo. Strictly speaking, companies are able to charge to set the prices for their products. For example, a particular brand can be more expensive than another. Yet the pricing power in this market is not very strong. And if you try to overcharge your customers, consumers can switch away because there are very many substitutes available on the market. There are no entry barriers. It's still free to set up your own production in this particular type of market. Oligopoly, it's much more concentrated market when there are only few larger players. For example, smartphone makers or car manufacturers. There are few companies which operate in this market, and companies do have a quite large extent of market power. They are able to set the prices, and this is because there are quite strong entry barriers. There are different types of entry barriers, and one of them could be capital expenditure required to set up a business in this particular industry. Another example would be a supermarket chain. In the UK, there are maybe 5 or 7 main supermarket chains: Asda, Tesco, Sainsbury, Morrisons, Waitrose, Aldi, Lidl, and probably that's it. And if you want to set up your own supermarket chain, you would require quite a large amount of capital to be able to build stores and compete with existing companies. So there are quite strong entry barriers. There are no legal restrictions, but there are capital expenditure requirements, which would prevent everyone from entering this market. There is some differentiation in this market. Consumers can switch between these different suppliers of the products. And the final type of market would be a monopoly, extreme case when there is only one producer of a unique product. In this case, the example which we've mentioned already would be Apple and iPhone. It's a unique product. Only Apple can produce iPhones, no one else. And this is the only company which is supplying iPhones to the market, and which means that they have the maximum degree of market power. They are price makers, and it's only the company which can decide on the price they want to charge. And this is the reason why iPhones are so expensive. Maximum entry barriers. Entry for newcomers is completely blocked. No one else can start producing iPhones. You can start producing different types of smartphones, but not iPhones. Entry barriers are maximized. Why does it matter? Why do we need to analyze situation in different markets? Why do we need to classify market structures? The thing is, the economic profit which the company is able to make will depend on the nature of the industry and the market conditions. What you'll need to remember is that if there are entry barriers to the market, if you are operating in a type of market where the entry is not that easy, it will prevent new firms from joining the industry. Even if the current profitability in the market is very high, it will be difficult for new entrants to enter the market and compete this profit away, which means that companies operating in this market will be able to keep their economic profit in the long run. So if they're highly profitable, other companies would like a share of this profit. For example, Apple is a highly profitable company which earns billions of pounds. But even if you want to take a share of this, you won't be able to set up the business in this area, in this industry, which actually allows the company to keep their supernormal profit in the long run. In reality, only monopolistic and oligopolistic companies where the entry is blocked, where there are high entry barriers, will be able to earn abnormal or supernormal or economic profit in the long run. In all other cases, in all other types of markets, in perfect competition or monopolistic competition, when there are no entry barriers, economic profit will be competed away. Even if a company manages to generate supernormal profit in the short run, because there are no entry barriers, this extra profit will attract new entrants. If the market is profitable, other organizations, other businesses will switch their resources. They will try to set up their own businesses in this particular area, in this particular market. As a result, supply will increase, prices will drop, and new entrants will keep flooding the market with their products until the price drops so much that all profit is competed away and only normal profit is made. As a result, there will be no extra profit in the long run. In the long run, only normal profit will be earned in these particular markets. Firms in competitive markets are only able to earn abnormal profit in the short run only. Unfortunately, if competition is strong, you won't be able to keep this profit in the long run, and you will need to try and create some entry barriers to prevent other firms from copying your product and taking away some of your market share and some of your profit. We will cover this in more details next week in our seminars. This is it for today and for this week. The recommended reading is shown on the screen. Please make sure that you do this reading, and please try to do your exercises before you come to this seminar. That's it for today. Thank you very much for joining me. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.